Welcome to Good to Geek Out. Hey, coming at you, Rob Lucy, coming at you from Phoenix, Oregon. Excited to be here talking to you about Falcon and the Winter Soldier with two of my lifelong friends who I love to geek out with. If you caught our preview about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it really did live up to all of my expectations. Cold open came hard. What an amazing way to start the series. What did you think about that, Ed?
Ed, coming from San Antonio, I fucking loved it. GSP, I barely even noticed GSP was in it again, aka Batroc, the Leaper.
The Leaper.
Yeah. But just those flying suits and the way they were going in and out of the helicopters. I mean, just, oh my God. It was for a TV show, it definitely sets the bar at a different level for these TV shows coming out on streaming platforms and stuff.
I did not realize from so the Leaper, Batroc, also from Captain America, Winter Soldier,
yeah,
as their opening villain. I didn't realize until right now that that was the Leaper. Were they playing off as the Leaper?
Yeah. Okay.
What a great rewrite for a throwaway character who has some badassery to him.
Completely. Rob Strader, San Francisco, aka Boba Fresh. Welcome to Good to Geek Out. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers behind. And yeah, it took me a second to realize it was Batroc, but he straight double kicked somebody in the chest. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then I noticed that he had like a purple with an orange. Like he had like a very debased version of his costume. But they don't give him the yeah. And of course, that's how we should know that it's really Batroc. But yeah, no, solid opening, all the action. Falcon flying through the canyon.
Oh, I love the selfie shots of him coming through. Like if you've been on the internet and seen some of these people in their wingsuits, and you're like, ooh, they played that so well to kind of jump back and forth. Yeah, we're rewinding to the beginning, cold open. Yes, people, it is that good. Most certainly. Yeah, I'd like to see that Sam is still out there, like patrolling as the Falcon after he was given the shield and by Captain America, and he hasn't taken it, which leads into later aspects of the show. It's kind of interesting that he knows Captain America as a person and he can't live up to that ideal, but the government knows him as a propaganda tool, and they're going to straight go into that. But I think we'll lead into that a little bit later if we want to go chronologically through the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting the way that they split it in. I mean, because obviously it's about two people, right? Winter Soldier and Falcon. So as soon as all the Falcon action's done, kind of set up the whole army thing, boom, we're in the psychologist's office with Bucky, and it's just like a whole different vibe.
But we had that flashback first, though, didn't we?
Or
he had his nightmare before he ends up in the psychologist's office.
Yeah, that's right.
His nightmare or his remembering what he did.
Yeah.
PTSD flashbacks, whatever you want to call it.
Man.
Yeah.
Talk about hardcore. Now, Ed, great pointing out of the way that they do the split framing of the story. So when they meet up later, there's really a reward as opposed to just starting us out in the first frame being like, look at these two, like we have to gear up to these two meeting, and they really reward us with that. But I also agree that them setting up that action, like that cold sweat scene of how raw dog Bucky is, like when and again, beautiful foreshadowing, but the guy's just like at his door, like his hands all, I just want to get into the hotel room, please don't. And it's like, ooh, man, you're cold. But then they go to this analyze that kind of Sopranos, I guess, framing with the therapist, which is a cool way to get into a dark person's mind. Like, this dude is crazy. Like, he shouldn't just be out, right?
Oh, I like her as a character. By the way, I'm gonna throw that in. I think she plays it well. I like how they play off of each other. And she's, oh, you're gonna pull out the notebook again, huh?
Yeah.
And then she grabs the phone. Oh, trust? Let me see your phone. Oh, you haven't been calling back Sam. You know?
Yeah, he needs somebody like that. At least for
Yeah, they need that character in there, I think. And she has combat experience because she talked about being a combat vet and not being able to leave it behind, what to leave behind, what to take with you.
Yeah, no, the fact that he still has this honor code, he has this bucket list, which I think is interesting because I think that's a callback to Captain America's bucket list of things that he's supposed to do in Civil War or whatever it is, when Captain America and Falcon meet for the first time. And he's like, oh, see Star Wars, like he's got to write down, like his list of things to do. So I thought that was a cool visual callback.
But it gives it just kind of it seems like it's Bucky's one person in his life that is giving him direction other than his neighbor, his Asian neighbor, who's there's that big twist there going forward where, hey, he needs to make amends because he killed that dude's son.
Great stuff.
So how do you move forward from that? If there's a twist, hey, hopefully it's written well. I hope there's not at this point in the show. But then I also like how they jump into Sam's family. We have not met Sam's family at all, and he's been gone for 5 years, and they delve into the people that were lost in the blip. And his sister's like, hey, man, I've been holding it down for 5 years. You just came back. Let me do my thing. Thank you for your help. And then he tries to jump in, and it turns out, oh, he doesn't really have a salary. And with Tony gone and the bank's like, yeah, well, how do you really get your money? And he's like, oh, this is how we're going to play this?
Yeah, that was dealing with like showing the repercussions of not just coming back from the blip and dealing with people that you haven't seen or haven't seen you and have moved on without you or have become older like his nephews. But just also the way like the world treats you, like you haven't been gone and you're dealing with it like you've been gone 5 years is 5 years. You don't exist according to us. So sorry,
Yeah.
you gotta start over. I was kind of messed up. I mean, but it's a real world way that maybe it would be dealt with. And I think seeing Sam's like softer side, he's from Louisiana too, so I think he might have chosen there personally. And like he just seems more like I've seen him on interviews on other shows, and he just seems very much like who he is in real life. He's like almost home playing himself, and it comes through. It just comes through as very genuine and
very natural.
Him being a good guy and like family guy, taking care of his family and stuff, and knowing about food in Louisiana, food especially.
Yeah, and you can kind of see like I don't know where it's going to go. And well, we do know a little bit at the end, but from a man who can rescue hostages and help save the world, he can't help his family without the help of a bank. Like,
yeah,
how emasculating is that? Somebody who's done all these things, and you kind of see it in his face, and he's like, huh? Like like, hey, well. It is about like ethnicity and like, oh, like you want my autograph, but
also
you're not going to help out my family.
That also happens to like people in the military all the time. It's not even necessarily a racial thing, you know what I mean? Like,
but this is a racial. This is a racial thing. I hear what you're saying. I think Lucy's in the right lane in regards to them showing the very real consequence of redlining and Coventries, and how hard it is for a Black person compared to a white person to get a loan, the way that he's not able to leverage his fame to get the credit, the fact that he has these government contracts, but that's not enough. The fact that they went there was really dope. And, like the awkwardness of that scene in the office when they have that Mike's tots or whatever it is, you know, and he promised to give the kids money and he fails to give the money anyway. There's an awkwardness written into that scene where you want them to get the loan so bad, but you know they're not gonna get the loan, and it you know, it evokes an emotion. And when she walks outside and she's like, "You're so out of pocket for that," and I was like, "Oh, okay, black people are writing this. Like some black person is behind the pen with this," and I think that's hella dope. I think it's dope that they cast the sister as a dark, beautiful black woman. That's a very conscientious casting choice. And I think that the story with the elderly Asian man and his son, again, a great cross-cultural reference. Because when I first saw him, I was like, oh, Bucky must have known this guy from World War II.
That's what I thought too.
And that was a great setup because they're not even they're referencing our history. They're referencing like the darkest part of our history when you think about it. In certain senses, there's a lot of darkness to our history. The worst destruction that man has ever wrought upon another human. So they kind of allude to just that fact of World War II. The flirting between Bucky and Homegirl, totally dope, great chemistry. But yeah, when we find out that's his son, I was like, oh man.
She's like, what's up? Well, you just dropped a big old bomb on me.
Right, great writing. Yeah, I think that. Oh, and in Torres being Sam's buddy, like, hey man, I'm Torres. I'm silly. Like, hey, I'm a shield agent. Hey, what's up? Can you track me? But again, they're doing very conscientious, multicultural casting choices that really pay off and don't seem forced, but you notice them as the audience. It's dope.
Mm-hmm. Interesting how they're setting this up. Another thing, and I think it's what the episodes or the series is going to be about. There's a certain faction of people that enjoyed the chaos during the blip, and that's how they explain this going forward with a flag bearer. Like, hey, we're just looking for chaos at this point in time. We enjoyed chaos. We've thrived in chaos. So there's that aspect to the show. That's what they're fighting against, and they're also fighting.
Isn't Flagsmaster a character in the comic books? Not a.
I didn't.
Not a group.
Flagsmaster?
It's a character.
100%. He's a Captain America character. He was in, obviously all by Marvel's universe. But he's drawn by John Byrne in the Marvel universe one, so I always like it. It's like super, but yeah, he's got a mace and a cape, and like it's got like red lining, and his whole thing is it's a story. His dad worked for the UN and got killed outside. And so he ends up being like, the world would be better if there's no borders anywhere. Like, and so he goes like pure anarchy. Mm-hmm. And as where Red Skull's supposed to represent fascism, like Flagsmaster was supposed to represent anarchy. Like he was supposed to be like this new, like opposite of where Captain America was now, where America was at the time.
Yeah.
But he was very superhero. And I'd never, he goes toe to toe with Captain America. So I don't know if, like he's enhanced somehow, but like he goes toe to toe.
Well, he's certainly in this episode, like he's chucking fools and jumping off of like 5-story buildings and having that superhero smash landing and moving on. So he's going to be there. We've been hinting at Baron von Zemo is going to be in there, and dun dun dun. Agent.
U.S. agent.
U.S. agent. Oh.
I was joking. I was joking when I said that. I didn't think he was really gonna fucking show up.
Oh yeah. He's gonna be there, and it's gonna be. I just love how they set this series up. I really do. On so many different levels, so many different places they can go.
100% agree. Well, what I think is more important, and it kind of goes to. I want to say this. Flagsmaster kicked the shit out of Torres.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised Torres isn't dead, but he did say he got his orbital busted.
Yeah,
he did. No, they took the shit out of Torres.
Oh, I did like. I mean, that.
Basically.
But talking about taking up the shield, the little talk with him and War Machine was dope. That was a nice.
Oh yes, loved it.
That was
Oh
very,
yeah,
very
yeah.
well acted, solemn, very just well done.
Hey
And it
Sam.
wasn't like, oh, it wasn't heavy-handed in any way. It was nice and subtle. It could have been really ham-fisted if certain people write it. It was just, it was well done. And like, if people of color are writing it, it's makes a little more sense because you don't overact people because you know how people really talk.
Mhm.
It's like, hey Sam, what you doing? Like, oh, I'm doing I can't live up to it. I wonder if he comes out later in this series as the Iron Patriot, or if they save that for Norman Osborn.
We'll see.
Interesting.
I mean, he's supposed to be
Interesting
in and out of
prediction.
it.
What I really liked about the Sam Rhodey conversation, besides just again the natural chemistry and these two amazing actors going back and forth, they could have been doing quote unquote Shakespeare, whatever you wanted to, like they're putting serious acting chops into this back and forth. But the fact that they did it in the location of Captain America's memorial, and so like they're walking around and you see like the young Bucky and you see, like all of these bits of history. And so to me, my dad, as Lucy knows, was part of the Army pre-segregation and post-segregation.
Air Force.
Thank you, sorry. And the fact that they're walking through America's history, America's like cherished history, but there's still these two black, like look at how much history's changed. Like these are two like decorated veterans, generals walking. Like I think, pretty sure. I'm sorry, they're not called admirals or generals. What's an Air Force Rhodey's?
I think Rhodey is a colonel at this point in time, and then Sam, I believe, is a captain. He may have been promoted. But yeah, they respect it, but they also have lived the life of black men in America at the same time. Rhodes, in a way, is like, hey, Sam, you had the opportunity, or you have the opportunity to be a black Captain America. This is not, this is an opportunity for all black, in a subtle way. And like you said, they didn't overplay it. It was just a conversation between two friends and two men. But he salted it there, like, hey. And then the bridges to the movies, how this leads into the next phase of the Marvel universe. It brings up some questions. I haven't seen anything about when the next movie is going to drop. Not only have I not seen about anything when the next movie is going to drop, and then maybe it's Doctor Strange into the multiverse, but we skipped of the Black Widow movie altogether. Still, just completely dropped off the radar. Are they reworking it? Are they going to bring it back in?
I think Marvel having Black Widow, if we're allowed to go to theaters in the summer, Marvel having Black Widow as the first thing that brings people back into the theaters, I think is a smart anchor. But I completely agree with you. Like, I think it's better to have a series now than it is to be a quote unquote movie star. And in the sense of like, yeah, Lucy, you're right. Like the body count on this, with it being Disney Plus, is pretty crazy. And we see that in Mandalorian. We see that start.
On that note, so fellas, pretty excited for the next one. I want to see the U.S. agent in the black and red costume. I'm dying to see that. If I see that in this lifetime, I'll take that off my bucket list. I've always wanted to see that costume in person. I don't know why.
Nice. I agree. Hey, great talking to you guys. Excited to see the next episode. Excited to talk about it. If you're interested, like, comment, subscribe. I'm sure somebody's reading them and replying back.
Sure.
Probably.
Who knows, man? Hey, see you next week. Peace.
Overfresh, San Francisco. Great seeing you. Thanks for tuning in.